With events having settled down from the last part of the multiplayer, people started to build up what they were planning to do next and start working their own treachery, their own plans into their own thing. I was still trying to gain manipulation by marriage with my family because obviously I lost the veil. I felt maybe I should just try and go and marriage into the Iron Throne or something, or try and use Mia Stone to take the throne. Then I saw Daenerys was pregnant. Not good, that meant the Starks would be getting the Iron Throne. And then suddenly the Greyjoys declared war of independence with a lot of people to help them. They had a lot of people to help them. Daenerys did not look in a good position. Now obviously the Starks were going to help her. The North had to protect their interests. They had a chance obviously to inherit the Riverlands, hold the North, and have Jon Snow's child have the Iron Throne as a Stark. Not as a Targaryen, as a Stark. At this point I couldn't join the Independence War. But I stayed neutral, decided not to help either side, and try and find a way around it for myself to benefit from this. But things were taking a big turn. And so the war raged on. Daenerys was fighting against almost all of the Lord Paramounts, apart from the North, obviously. Many of us who couldn't really get involved or didn't have much influence, including me, the Tully player, and the Lannister player, tried to set about either trying to cause more chaos or getting our family much more well positioned. Now obviously I was married to Theon Greyjoy, which meant I had a good relationship with the Greyjoy player, and I was hoping to help them at some point. I was pregnant again, which meant I now have 2 kids, which obviously was great for me again, because I was still very nervous about the Lannisters and the Tullys trying to assassinate me, which I kept finding little traces of the fact they were trying that, finding people trying to back their plots and stuff. But I was very hoping that the Greyjoys could defeat the Starks. If they could defeat the Starks and the Iron Throne, that would mean the realm would be put into complete chaos, many separate states, and really then the Iron Throne would become worthless, basically. If it was basically the North and the Iron Throne, it would nowhere near be as powerful as it used to be. So I was really hoping they could achieve what they could. And as you can see, the Greyjoys were already sieging King's Landing. Insurmountable amount of men. The Iron Throne could not deal with that many men, as well as deal with all the rest. The Greyjoys captured Daenerys Targaryen and killed her. Though obviously this meant that the little girl of hers, her and Jon Snow, their only daughter, became Queen of the Iron Throne. So at this point a Stark was the Queen of the Iron Throne, but all the nations had gained independence. So you had the Riverlands, you had the Westerlands, you had Dorne, which was very big, and a tiny Reachland. So yeah, so things had just been left in complete chaos. Our manipulation and power mongering and wars had completely just left Westeros in an absolute mixture of state, with many kings and still the Iron Throne, but the Iron Throne obviously, like I said, was not as powerful as it used to be. And obviously I then found out Robb Stark was dead. No idea how. He died in an accident. No idea. So Jon Snow had inherited the North, and so when he would die, the Stark player would gain control of the Iron Throne as well. Bad times. With the end of the Great War, which had set the Westeros completely into chaos, it looked as though things were starting to look up for me. Ever so slightly. The card I'd had up my sleeve for so long was looking like it was about to work out. Obviously I had Mia Stone for a long time, waiting for someone to try and raise an army for her for the throne, and someone finally did. It looked as though we may be able to push the Starks off the Iron Throne while putting my family onto it. So quickly I went off and married her to one of my family members. I'd had her for so long, waiting for this opportunity. That was always my backup plan. I thought it was interesting as well the fact that Greyjoys had led an independence faction, which was the initial plan I had. If you can remember, I'd formed an independence faction and was initially going to do that. That was always my initial plan, and the backup plan was always going to be Mia Stone. So it looked as though it finally might work out. Obviously, it's not all said and done. The Iron Throne still had the power of the North behind them, obviously, so it wasn't going to be easy. I decided not to help out too much because I didn't want to get my family in trouble. I had enough people trying to kill me as it was. The Tullys and the Lannisters. Funnily enough though, Balon Greyjoy was still alive. Still alive and well, very old. No one had really tried to kill any of the Greyjoy family, manipulate their country or anything, which I found quite interesting. It just showed that sometimes the people you'd least expect sometimes are the ones who cause the most chaos. Because obviously many people didn't aim, I guess, for the Greyjoys. They didn't assume they'd be as powerful as other families. People probably targeting me as well because it's me. But yeah, obviously you're going to target the bigger ones first and then the others later. And still don't know how Robb Stark died. I don't think I'll ever know. Not sure if someone tried to assassinate him, one of us did, or if the Stark player himself had something lead to his death. Because obviously he knew that he wouldn't have the Iron Throne, he wouldn't be able to control it unless Robb died and Jon Snow inherited, because then obviously his daughter would then inherit the North and the Iron Throne. Obviously the Tullys and the Lannisters both tried to marry me matrilineal to my newborn son. As usual, knew I couldn't trust him. Never can trust him. Always trying to kill me. Damn. So quite happy we still had our alliance with the Greyjoys as well. Still married to Theon. Very happy with that. And I was still trying to look for other ways that I may be able to manipulate events. Obviously, with these separate kingdoms now existing, it was a good time to try and find sneaky marriages, because obviously with there's many options for power. There might be one chance for you to marry someone and they'll let you marry them because they're stupid. You'll sometimes find that sometimes the AI can be slightly stupid when it comes to marriage. They don't really look too far ahead. The rebels were actually winning. They actually had more war score, so it was looking actually quite good, but the Iron Throne still had a massive army coming from the north. It's going to take a while to get down there, but once they would be down there, that would really be it. I couldn't really see the rebels defeating them, but if they could just get 100 before the Iron Throne army comes down south, or even capture King's Landing, we may be able to do it, and my risks would pay off. Finally. It was all down to whether we could put her on the throne. It's always good to have her in your back pocket. If you're on the Vale, if you ever play as a Vale, always keep her in your back pocket. Exactly what if you remember, if any of you guys watched my Baelish Let's Play, exactly what I did there. I then tried to look at Viserys, because obviously he has a claim on the Iron Throne, and the Starks had married off Robb Stark's child to Viserys, obviously trying to keep his claims to themselves, because obviously they knew if someone tried to marry Viserys, they could then use him or his children's claims to take the Iron Throne. So again, smart thinking there by the Starks. They've definitely been probably the strongest when it came to inheritance. Definitely been the smartest with marriages and stuff. Knew what they were doing. Dawn obviously vast now. The Reach didn't really have much control at all. Tried to look into Dawn, couldn't really find anything for them either. I was getting very frustrated with the lack of interest in marriages. But obviously, when you're playing with many human players, we're all looking for those good marriages. So when those marriages appear, they're going to be gone straight away, because we're all looking for that one chance. The Lannisters still in their normal situation, though the Rock was now free. And obviously the Lannisters with a claim to the Westerlands, that could all obviously change. Same with obviously Ed Martelli, though with Ed Martelli, he obviously was dishonourable and a kinslayer, so he was not very well liked. Really, the Tullys had completely destroyed themselves by killing off my family, which made me quite happy. With the Iron Throne armies now around King's Landing, it wasn't looking so good for the rebels. Obviously, the Iron Throne had so many men, they could probably take out the rebels very easily, though I'd noticed that the Westerlands had declared war on the Iron Throne as well. Hopefully for me, that would mean they could distract the Iron Throne armies, but obviously I hadn't seen the Westerland armies attack yet. I then looked into possibly trying to marry Jon Snow, that Daenerys was dead, but I hadn't seen that he had the Widow trait, stupidly by me. Thought maybe I could sneak a marriage in there. Obviously, if he has a kid, if the Queen on the Iron Throne dies, that kid would then take the place. But it wasn't meant to be. And so I waited to see what would happen with the rebellion, what the Westerlands could do. Obviously, if the rebellion wouldn't succeed, it means Milestone would not take the Iron Throne, and as well, we would not see an Arryn take the Iron Throne. Then, a Westerland army of about 15,000, with more coming up behind him, appeared, meaning the Iron Throne became distracted and started to move away from the rebel armies for Mia Stone. Very good for me. I was really hoping they could distract him for a long time. Things then became a bit more, like I say, gradual. Things became a bit more steady. Like I said before, people were sort of doing their own thing now that all the kingdoms were separate, basically. Well, not all of them, obviously. Most of them. The Starks were still trying to control the land they had now gotten, even though obviously it wasn't the human character controlling the Iron Throne, it was the AI of the Stark. But they managed to do it, so it was very good for them. But I was still hoping beyond hope that the rebels could win and put Mia Stone on the throne. And obviously if the girl did die, Viserys would take the throne. Me and obviously would just go back to the Starks because they'd married him to a Stark. So they'd done their homework, they'd managed to keep things together. But things were still playing out as I wanted. Dawn then declared war on the Iron Throne, meaning again I was now in a good position. We still had a chance. We still had a chance that Mia Stone could take the Iron Throne, and we could still have it for our own, meaning this wouldn't be a failed attempt. And then I was pregnant again, which made me now feel quite good. I hadn't had anyone murdered for a while, and we finally had 3 kids, which meant I felt like the family was slightly secure now. Before, obviously, we were on a knife edge, but now I felt like we were finally secure in our family's dynasty, which meant I could now start stretching out as the game would go further on and my kids grew up. And Dawn, obviously, as you can see, declaring war. The Westerlands, though, had finished their war, but still Dawn there. So I was hoping Dawn could distract them, because now Dawn actually had quite a powerful army. But then the unthinkable happened, as you can see. I lost connection. And so that really was the end of the multiplayer session, sadly. Sadly, losing connection was slightly annoying, and it meant we finished the game, but obviously we felt we'd been playing for a good 2 hours, so we'd managed to get quite far. People needed to do stuff, I needed to go do some more editing to release some videos, so we felt it was a good time to stop the match. A lot of things had happened, we'd completely really destroyed Westeros, it was in complete chaos, but it was sad to see that I would not see the Arryns possibly get the Iron Throne, because even though I was in a bad position family wise, we still had a couple of things up our sleeve, particularly with Mia Stone, and we still had potential to possibly get the Iron Throne. So we never got to find out what happened. Obviously the Starks were completely losing control of everything, even though they managed to get to the Iron Throne. It seemed to be whenever a human player managed to grab the Iron Throne, they would in a way lose it. Renly, the Baratheons lost it through deaths, the Starks lost it through the fact they lost most of all the kingdoms, thanks to the Iron Islands and their followers. So yeah, that is basically what happened. We basically completely destroyed the fabric and infrastructure of Westeros. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. This is the best way I thought to edit this series, because obviously we've done a lot of, like I say, it was about 2 hours, and the fact that it hadn't recorded my voice. So I felt this was the best way. As well as the fact not everyone was actually talking during the thing, some people were typing and whatnot, so it wasn't the easiest thing to put across. Now, I am planning to do some of these again later on in the future. People keep asking me to do more multiplayer sessions. I definitely will, do not worry. I know it's been a while, and I keep saying I will, but I definitely will. I'm hoping next week at some point. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll definitely find it on Twitter probably a few hours before, and what I'll do is I'll release a video on YouTube whether I am doing a multiplayer session about, how long should I say, maybe like 20 minutes beforehand, maybe 10 minutes beforehand. I'll release a video on YouTube. I will be doing it on Twitch as well, because I feel like that would be the best way to do it. Instead of having to do something like this again, what I'll do is I'll go on Twitch, which means people can just come on to go on Twitch. They can either watch or they can join in, and then what I'll do is I'll release the parts on Twitch onto YouTube. I'll release, separate parts so people can watch who didn't get to watch it. So don't worry if you don't get there because of time differences or the fact, you missed it because you were doing stuff. I will release parts on YouTube, and if you missed it completely and I don't get a chance to put it on YouTube because I haven't done it before, so it'll be my first time doing that, so I'll have to see what happens. But if something goes wrong, you can always go on my Twitch channel, which is on my channel, and then you can watch it from there. So I think it'd be the best way to do it. It means people can watch it as it's going on. Anyone can join who's around. I haven't really got to set it beforehand. I just got to go on Twitch and say, hey, we're doing this. Anyone about can join. So that means I can do it when I can, because at the moment I've got a lot of things going on, and it's very hard for me to find time to do stuff like that in particular, because you don't know how long it's going to be. Those sessions could be anything from an hour to whatever, basically the time people have to play. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think it'll be really fun. This is one of my favorite. I haven't had so much playing Crusader Kings 2 as I did playing this multiplayer session, and a lot of the other guys agreed with me. They said it was the most fun they've had on Crusader Kings 2, and we definitely want to do it again. So I hope next time you guys will join me. If we're playing the Game of Thrones mod, I don't know how many people I'll play with. I don't want too many people in, and we'll have to use Hamachi because I haven't been able to get the normal multiplayer to work and stuff. So it's going to be a bit technical if I do play Crusader Kings 2 Game of Thrones mod, but that'll probably be the one I'll most likely be playing. but we'll probably have about 10 people in every game, because I think that's a good number. And we'll have I'll play different scenarios, like maybe one will be auto pick someone in one empowerment, one will maybe we all pick a power, a different power amount, or one will we pick maybe one high lordship each in a different powerment, each one of us. So one of us in the north as like the Boltons, one in the Riverlands as the Lannisters, something like that. So I'm going to think of some different scenarios. So every time we play, it'll be a different scenario, which means a different amount of people and blah 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 blah. If it's something like EU4, that's much easier. It'll probably be like we could have the most amount of people playing. So I think it's 32 you can have playing at once. So like I say, it'll be depending on what game we play. It's going to be first come first serve. So if you want to play, get on there straight away. So obviously, people who have Twitter and stuff probably have a better chance because I'll be putting things up there when I'm thinking about doing it. But those are the plans. Plans don't always go as they should. So that's what's been happening so far. I haven't had a chance to actually do it. I definitely want to do it. I hope you guys have been enjoying this little series of these 4 videos. That was the last part. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I've been Paradox, and I can't wait to see you guys and play with you on Game of Thrones mod so I can kill you all. Or what's most likely to happen, you all just kill me, as what was happening on this. So I'll see you guys about. I've been Paradox, and I approve this message. There.